Hello ladies. So once again it is time for our club night project. If you're watching this video and haven't already subscribed and liked the video, I would request that you do that, please. It just helps Facebook and YouTube and other forums know that this is content that you like and that others might like as well. Thanks. So this is the envelope that you all received, and when you pull things out there is poinsettia pieces, excuse me. So there they all are. There's basically green petals, the red that look like the green leaves, and then the other pieces there. These are the ribbons that you'll use to make the hangers for the ornaments. This is the card with the instructions inside and suggestions for the things that you're going to need to complete these ornaments, and I'm going to go through that information here. I'm just showing that there are 13 pieces of the cardstock, and if you're not a part of the club and you want to make this on your own, the file design space will be linked, and I'll have two separate ones because this particular ornament with the blue Serenity papers only uses the Cricut basic cuts, so you don't have to own any image sets to be able to use it. And the poinsettia is from the Flower Market cartridge by Close to My Heart. So there's 13 pieces of each. The pattern paper are 1-inch squares and the cardstock is 1 1/4 inch. I was just showing there that the large paper clip won't work, but you really should have 13 small paper clips. It will really help this project just so you don't need 16 hands. So if you need to, pause the video now, go gather those things. And I'm showing here that you're kind of going to try to bend the paper just a little bit. You're rolling it more than folding it. So you're kind of rolling it into a petal. And then I cut apart my non-stick mat, couldn't think of the word of that, into several pieces. And so I just have a piece of it here that I'm using. And I went ahead and with my piercing tool and some glue, added some glue under that fold, and then you just paper clip it. And you're going to do that for all 13 of the pattern papers, all 13 of the cardstocks, and through the magic of preparation, I have a bucket all of those. One of the things that I forgot to include in the kit for you all is the back for the blue Serenity ornament. So originally I used a 2.5-inch square or circle that I just rough cut, and then you saw that I had the 2-inch punch to make the scallop. So now what you're going to do is you're going to attach all of the cardstock petals first. And I thought that I needed to put the, oh my goodness, I'm sorry, the ribbon on it, but you don't. You do that actually after you do the cardstock. But I'm going ahead and tying the knot in the end of this. And as you saw, I kind of put the two ends together, and then I folded the ends in half so that it was narrower, wrapped it around and pulled it through itself. And then you want to make sure this is really tight. You do not want your ribbon to come undone. Cut that tight, and I will use those later. I apologize for my hand up into the camera. I'm working with a new setup now. So I put a good amount of the liquid glue on my 2-inch scallop circle, and now you're just going to lay these cardstock rolled petal pieces one right next to each other, trying to keep the center centered. I just did an eyeball. If you really want to know where it is, you can fold the circle into quarters, but I think that just weakens that cardstock, so I didn't want to do that. And it's just for holding purposes. It's not anything I think that will affect the design. So I'm just pushing those in tight. I only needed to use 12 of the petals for this. Now that it's dry, I grab some glue dot, and I'm trying to make it thicker to fill that little white hole that you see in between the petals, because I'm going to put that in between the petals, and then I'm going to lay the knot from the ribbon there, and that ended up being the center of this ornament flower. It almost looks like a dahlia to me. So I don't know what it looks like to you, but I really like this. And I go ahead and tuck the ribbon between and under the one petal there. Just kind of squish it down. It's not fully behind it because otherwise that would pop the petal off, but just kind of tuck it behind. And then we're going to go ahead and do the same thing again. We're just going to add adhesive on all the seams between the two petals that are there and add the pattern paper petals. And I found that they kind of, especially over where the ribbon is, it needed some pressure on it to hold it down. So I just use the paper clips and I just push it into the petal behind and into the petal on top, and it holds it there really nicely. So I sped this part up because it's the same process. I put down 3 petals, I clip them to the bottom. I put down 3 petals, I clip them to the bottom. So that's what's going on here. And at any point, feel free to pause this and catch up, and so that you don't feel lost. But this is a pretty, repetitive, repeatable process. So those are done. You can see the dahlia up in the left corner of the screen with all the paper clips on it. And so now I'm going to start on the poinsettia ornament. I'm getting out glue dots, which are real tiny. These are like the smallest glue dots, and then some foam dots or adhesive as well. I had forgotten that originally I was going to go ahead and start dry emboss shaping the petals, and then I realized I wanted to ink the edges and put Shimmer Brush on them. So I'm grabbing my mini blending tool and my sponges, and then in my new studio setup, my inks are right behind me, so I'm grabbing I think the Scarlet ink. Any red ink will do if you've been with Close to My Heart for a while. The cranberry would be a really good color match with these flowers. And I use the Scarlet on all of the petals, including the leaves, just to kind of give it some richness, and I did most of those off screen. You don't need to see me sponging the edges. So you can see, like on the green, I use the Scarlet as well. And you don't have to do the center because they stack on each other. You don't see the centers. So on the green leaf, this is where I realized that, I forgot to do the Shimmer Brush. So I just grabbed the clear Shimmer Brush and I'm doing the whole leaf. So I was squeezing a little bit off and I got a big puddle, and now I'm just kind of brushing it on. It's not, neatness doesn't count in this. If you've worked with Shimmer Brush before, wherever it hits, it's nice and shiny and bright. So I'm just trying to make sure to hit all of the tops of the leaves there. And I think I also paused the camera after this to let stuff dry. I also think I had an interruption from a child at this point as well. So, and do the leaves as well, the green. It just, in real life, it really makes a difference. It's kind of nice. So now that these are dry, we're going to shape the petals. So for all the red petals, I'm going to turn them over and I'm going to dry emboss on the back side. For the leaves, I'm actually going to shape them so that they curve up. So the bottom leaf I want curved up, and all the other petals I kind of want to have a downward curl. So for the green, I'm just doing like a vein down the center. And then the other petals, I'm just going to basically outline each leaf. So, and I think I kept this in that you can see it all because there's so many people that are unfamiliar with dry embossing that I wanted them to get an idea of how fast it goes, and really just what I'm doing, what it looks like. So you saw on that last one, when I outlined the petals, it really kind of curved it up, and I wanted to bring the center down, so I turned it over and just did some swirls in the center. And these petals, and when we put the glue in between, you'll see, but you're going to offset all of the different leaves so that it fills it in nicely. Almost done here. It really doesn't take long to dry emboss, and yet it adds so much detail to the final project. I really really like dry embossing with a stylus. So those are all done. And then I pulled out the sequins that I'm going to use for the center of the poinsettia. And I'm not sure if I say that correct or not, poinsettia versus poinsettia. I like poinsettia, it's just more fun to say. And there is a scallop circle in green that I did include in the envelope, and that's kind of the back that also helps hold the ribbon for this ornament. So I like to have a glue dot for my first level layer instead of a foam tape. Just I like to have the base of the flower and the leaves more tight together. So what you do with the foam tape, and I saw another person that was building a flower do this, and they didn't dry emboss it first, they just shaped it with their hands, but I loved the dimension that it added. I wouldn't be able to put it on a card because it ends up being over a ½ inch thick. So you add the foam tape in between the different layers and it just kind of helps space them out, and then you can shape the leaves even more to just bring the ornament to life. So I really like that. So the first couple layers, the first layer between the green leaves and the 5-petal flower, I just did a regular thin glue dot. And then the next 2 layers, I did the inside of the shaker card foam tape. And then underneath the 4-petal leaf, I did my square, which is probably about 2 times the height of the normal foam tape. So there's more distance there. And then right after that, I go back to regular glue because I'm doing the last 2 3-petal pieces, and I like to vary the distance between everything. I think it just makes it look more natural. So I would caution you to be careful to get everything one stack right on top of the other, but I really didn't feel like I had to pay attention to that much. It just naturally, that's how they wanted to do. Here I am kind of pushing up the leaves a little bit to give them more of a downward curve. And now I'm going to tie a knot in the end of the ribbon just like I did on the other one. So put the 2 ends together, fold them in half, wrap it around a finger, and then I use the reverse tweezers to pull the end through. I'm going to pull it tight, make sure that it's snug, because like I said, you really don't want these to come apart. So you guys are almost done with your second ornament. How exciting is that? And I was showing you the back of the little knot ends up poking through the green circle just to give it some relief so that you're not smashing the knot into the flower and distorting it. So you just pull it through. It's not a tight fit, but it's enough that once you glue this all down, and you'll notice that the knot is to the outside. The part of the ribbon that goes to the tree is sandwiched between the back of the flower and the circle. And then I use my reverse tweezers, and in setting up my studio and unpacking things, I found a couple more pair, so I'm going to use a couple of those to just hold that while it dries. We're back from it drying, and I'm going to add the sequins on, and you'll notice that I changed glue to the Tombow white glue. I found that for paper to paper, I really like the blue glue. It just welds together. It's not going anywhere once it dries. But for things that aren't paper to paper, like a sequence, which is plastic to paper, the white glue, when it dries, seems to retain some tackiness that the blue clear glue doesn't. And I just feel that it stays together. You're less likely to lose an embellishment by using the white glue, which, like I said, just retains a tackiness. So now I'm just playing around with how the ribbon's gonna fit, and I really like how these turned out. I'm gonna take the paper clips off of this and show you this. The original one that I saw of this particular pattern of the blue, it had a banner across it, but I really just liked the simpleness of the knot from the ribbon, so that's what I did. Hope you guys enjoyed doing this, and we will catch you again next time.